If you have late payments on your credit report right now, then hopefully you know that one late payment could literally drop your credit score by 50 to 100 points, sometimes even worse. And the worst thing about it is that same late payment that just dropped your credit score could stay on your credit report for 7 years legally. But look, here's what the credit bureaus and the banks don't want you knowing. What if I gave you 2 legal credit dispute methods that could easily clean up your credit report in less than 2 months? I know I don't gatekeep. I'm even including a fallback plan just in case the first two don't work. And yes, these methods could work for 30-day late payments, 60-day late payments, 90 days late payments, all that. Make sure you follow this channel so you can stay in the credit loop. So first off, for y'all who don't know me, I probably went through the same problem as you back in 2021 with Discover. I remember when I checked my phone and I seen a notification from Credit Karma. I didn't really know much about credit, so anytime I seen a notification from Credit Karma, my heart kind of dropped. But when I finally logged into Credit Karma, I seen my score drop by 70 points. I'm not gonna lie, that had me fucked up the whole day. Cause at the time I literally worked my way up to 765 just to see that shit drop to like 690 or some crazy shit. But I'm gonna keep it real with you. I was late. I can't lie. They weren't picking on me or none of that funny shit. It was literally my fault. But luckily, I knew about these 2 late payment methods that could get that 1 late reversed. So fast forward, I muscled up, I put my thinking cap on, and I used the dispute method. In about 2 months, I seen my credit score fly up by like 60 to 70 points when they changed the payment status from 30 days late to paid on time. I believe it's a blessing to be a blessing. So once I realized these dispute methods actually work, I ended up fixing my uncle's credit report, then my friends, blah, blah, blah. So that's why I'm here now to show you the exact step-by-step method that I personally use to fix late payments. And I know a lot of y'all probably thinking, to remove a late payment, you should send a goodwill letter, right? Or you might be thinking that you should call the bank and say, hey, sorry, this happened, it won't happen again, blah, blah, blah. Listen, that does not work. What I'm about to teach you are actual dispute methods backed up by consumer law. So yes, this is serious and fully legal. But luckily for y'all, you follow Ezreyin Exchange and you know I don't gatekeep. So I'm putting you on to the insider methods that we use in the Easy Society. To my society members, don't worry, I'll make an extra guide just for y'all. I know y'all hate when I give out the private methods from the group to the public, but trust me, we never gonna run out of methods. So let's get into it. So for the people that's not really too credit savvy, I know the question is, why should you dispute late payments and where do you find them? So for one, late payments are one of the most common and most damaging type of negative account on a credit report. As I said before, one late payment could drop your credit score 60, 70 points. Or sometimes worse. And what I realized from working with so much clients is usually if your credit was clean before the late payment, you're gonna have a more devastating credit drop. But if your credit was already bad, it probably won't do 70 points. It might do 40 or 30. That's just the way it works. But listen, before you panic, I want you to stop thinking emotionally and actually start thinking logically. Stop thinking that your dispute reason is gonna be, oh, I was never late, blah, blah, blah. Instead, we have to think strategically by asking, can the bank actually prove that they reported me late correctly? And number 2, are they reporting accurately under the law? These 2 logical questions are the reasons why we're going to get your late payment reversed by the end of this video. But before we move into the first method, let me ask you a quick question. If you know, let us know how much points you lost from having 1 late payment. I want to see what's the max amount of points you can lose from having 1 late payment. So let us know in the comments. Let's move on to method 1. Most people call this factual disputing. So obviously not everyone knows this yet, but you can literally delete a late payment just by spotting any inaccuracies or inconsistencies on your credit report. And if you don't understand what I'm saying, don't worry, I'm gonna break this down to you in less than 2 minutes. Look, if you haven't used factual disputing to remove a late payment, then you're missing out on easy deletions. Literally, if you check your TransUnion credit report and you realize that you were 30 days late in January, but you check your Equifax report and it says you were 60 days late in January, then that's a violation of the FCRA. That's an inconsistency, which means it's inaccurate. Any inaccuracies have to come off your credit report. You see where I'm going? Let me break it down even more. Also, before you even ask, yes, this late payment method could even remove late payments from auto loans, mortgages, credit cards, loans, anything regarding your credit. This method could work. By the way, this is part 1 of the easy late payment removal guide. If you need the full video, type in Ezreyin Exchange on YouTube and you'll find it. This is not a guide that you want to miss. Make sure you follow and like so I can show you how to challenge late payments using factual disputing. So as y'all see right here, this is one of my clients' credit reports, and we're basically going to use factual disputing to reverse this late payment. I'm going to give you a live demonstration on how to find inconsistencies on a credit report. Make sure you follow along. As you can see, they got this account marked as a collection/charge-off. When it comes to disputing, I usually use Credit Builder IQ or Dispute IQ instead of Credit Karma and Experian because these credit monitoring sites allows you to line up your credit report side by side so you can easily spot inconsistencies and inaccuracies. I like Credit Builder IQ a little bit more than Identity IQ because Credit Builder IQ comes with AI that already tells you if there's any inaccuracies or mismatches. If you want the free trial, check the description on this video and you should see the link. This is going to save you a lot of time. Thank you later. So look, before we even start, we have to understand this. By law, specifically the FCRA, it doesn't matter if you were actually late or not. If the credit bureau cannot prove that the late payment was reported as accurately and complete as possible, then that late payment is invalid and it's a violation of the FCRA, specifically Code Law 15 USC 1681S-2. And for y'all that's a little confused, think about the FCRA as a set of laws that basically protect your privacy. It's like a cheat code that you can use strategically to remove negative accounts. But the thing is, you have to make sure that you structure your dispute the correct way, or else the credit bureaus is going to basically say that you was talking nonsense and basically ignore your dispute. But that's why y'all follow Ezreyin Exchange, because y'all know I'm going to keep y'all in the loop and y'all know I'm going to keep y'all sharp. So if you ain't hit the like button already, you're playing yourself. Most people that don't know how to use the FCRA make dispute letters saying, hey, I was never late. Please provide me documents showing I was late and blah, blah, blah. Those type of disputes almost never work. Your dispute is going to come back verified in less than a week. So that's why I'm showing y'all the correct way on how to structure your dispute by using actual consumer law, specifically the FCRA. So let's take a look at this payment history. As you can see, TransUnion reported the account as charged off in the last 5 recent months. On the other hand, Equifax and Experian reported no data for the same months. That's an inconsistency. And that's incomplete. So obviously you see that there's 2 reporting that's different. Let me know in the comments, do you think this is a violation of FCRA? Type dispute now if you think this is a violation of FCRA. Type dispute later if you don't think it's a violation. I'm gonna tell you right now. And yes, I'm waiting on you. So here's the answer. It's actually a violation of FCRA because incomplete. Like I said in the beginning of the method, any account that's reported inaccurate or incomplete is invalid pursuant to the FCRA, specifically 15 USC 1681S-2. So that's one violation that we caught. But the thing you got to understand when it comes to credit disputing is we don't want to just go off of one violation. We want to act like a lawyer where we stacking up a whole book of violations so the credit bureau have no choice but to remove the account. You want to type easy in the comments if you understand what I'm saying. I want to make sure that everybody's tracking. So let's get back to this payment history to see if we find any more violations. The FCRA demands credit bureaus report consistently, and they demand that the credit bureau maintains a reasonable procedure to assure accuracy. So anytime you find a discrepancy or a mismatch, stack it to your book of violations so we can use them later when we're making your dispute. So another violation that I see, the credit bureau must prove that you never made the past due payment for every late payment on your credit report. So if you have 5 late payments on your account, the creditor and the credit bureau have to prove that you never made payments. So they have to send you documents showing that you never made payment. And that's something we can add to our book for later. If they can't provide documentation showing that you never made payment for a month that they marked you as late, then technically that month has to go from 30 days or 60 days or 90 days late to paid as agreed. And the next month has to reset to 30-day late payment. That's a dispute tip that I usually keep in the Easy Society. But honestly, I don't care to gatekeep any information. Every day I learn something new, so we're never going to run out of information, right? So do with that info as you must. Get back into the chart. And remember, usually the only time status resets to paid or current is when you pay your past due balance, which means you're now on time. But like I said, if they can't provide documentation proving that you were late, then it has to reset to paid as agreed, because no documentation is incomplete. That's not fully accurate. Let's find some more dispute reasons. So here's a third dispute reason that we can use for later. For every month that they mark you as late, by law, they must send you a specific disclosure 21 days before your due date. And when I say send you, they have to mail it to you unless you opted out. And here's the catch. If they never mailed you the specific disclosure 21 days before the due date, they cannot mark you as late for that month, because technically to the chart. And remember, usually the only time status resets to paid or current is when you pay your past due balance, which means you're now on time. But like I said, if they can't provide documentation proving that you were late, then it has to reset to paid as agreed, because no documentation is incomplete. That's not fully accurate. Let's find some more dispute reasons. So here's a third dispute reason that we can use for later. For every month that they mark you as late, by law, they must send you a specific disclosure 21 days before your due date. Here's the catch. If they never mailed you the specific disclosure 21 days before the due date, they cannot mark you as late for that month, because technically it's out of compliance with the FCRA. But the thing is, to use this dispute reason, you have to know the exact law. You can't just say, according to the FCRA, you have to mail out 21 days before. you have to use the exact consumer law number. And don't worry, like I said, I'm not gatekeeping. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I'm giving you 2 dispute methods and a fallback plan just in case the first 2 don't work. So make sure y'all watch this video to the end. Because I know y'all probably asking, what specific disclosure must the bank send you 21 days prior from the due date? I want to see how y'all brains moving. So comment, what disclosure do you think the bank has to send prior to your due date? If 3 y'all get it right, I'll give you this exact dispute method. If not, now I'm playing with y'all. The next method that I'm guiding y'all through is how to use this disclosure situation as evidence that the bank is in non-compliance with the FCRA. This is a little different from factual disputing, so that's why it's a whole separate method. That's going to be method number 2. If you want to skip to method number 2, then go ahead. But for now, we're going to finish up with this factual disputing, and then I'm going to show you how to send off your dispute. So before we start crafting the dispute letter, let me ask y'all a question. From the violations that you see on this negative account, do you think that this account is in compliance with the FCRA? Let me know in the comments. The answer should be no, due to the amount of inconsistencies and us requesting for documentation showing that we were actually late. This account is inaccurate and incomplete unless the bank and credit bureau could verify it. Just like this other client, if you take a look at his chart, you should see the inconsistencies. Capital One, being the furnisher, and the credit bureaus have failed to report complete and accurate information across all 3 reports, which is why, again, I use Credit Builder IQ so much. And if you need a 7-day trial, you can find the link in the description of this video. So one major violation that I see on this account is TransUnion and Experian is reporting the account as paid, while Equifax says derogatory. That's an inconsistency. It's literally a mismatch. So that's already one violation of inaccuracy. But like I said with the other client, we like to stack violations before we go to war. When you're scanning through your account, you really want to get a pen or a marker to circle anything that's inconsistent. Remember, this is your power. This is how you leverage the FCRA to reverse late payments or delete the whole account. So to wrap this account up, our dispute reason is going to be inaccuracy. Now we're going to move on to building out your dispute letter so we can send it over to the credit bureaus and the creditor. Don't worry, I'm showing you everything from A to Z. So here's a free dispute template that you can use for your first round of disputes. What I want you to do is copy this template, paste it into a fresh Google Docs, and then tailor the dispute letter to your situation. So remember all the inaccuracies, inconsistencies, and mismatches. You're going to use that as evidence of violation. So you want to put that in your dispute template. If you're not really sure how to tailor your dispute template, you can use ChatGPT or Grok or Gemini to basically tailor this dispute template to your situation. If you feel comfortable enough, send the AI your credit report, let it know about the FCRA violations that you found, and then send it the dispute template and tell it to tailor that template based on your situation. And if it asks what's the resolution that you want, tell it that you want to reverse the late payments on a negative account. Now that you have your dispute letter ready to go, I'll show you how to send it off to the credit bureaus. Matter of fact, quick question. Do you think we should send the dispute letter to the credit bureaus first or send the dispute letter straight to the bank? I want to see everybody comment. I'm going to give y'all 20 seconds to get your guess in, and then I'm going to tell you the answer, because this is key and a lot of people don't know about this. Like I said in the start of the video, I usually keep these dispute deep dives in the Easy Society, but I feel like a lot of y'all been asking about late payments, and I want to make sure everybody's good. And if you're not in the Easy Society, you're playing yourself, because I know you're probably tired of watching random videos, everybody saying do this, and it's kind of confusing. You probably want one source of information that's actually going to get you results quicker and faster. That's exactly why I created a credit and business accelerator course. It's literally so you can focus on the mission without being sidetracked by so much distractions and noise. In the Easy Society, we do a weekly guided coaching call, basically holding your hand, checking in on you, making sure all your disputes is going through. If you have any questions, you just ask on the call. We get that done. So if you're looking for a one-stop shop where you can just lock in, it's linear information, where you get hand-fed step A, step B, step C, listen, click the link in my bio and join the Easy Society so I can start getting you right. The quicker you join is the faster we get your disputes rolling and the faster you can see your credit score increase. But let's get back to this factual disputing method. So like I said, I know a lot of y'all asking, should you first send your credit dispute to the furnisher or should you send it to the credit bureau? The answer is send your dispute to the credit bureau. The reason why you want to dispute your accounts with the credit bureaus first is because the FCRA talks about the credit agencies, not so much the creditor. Anytime you're dealing with the FCRA where it's talking about regulations and guidelines, most of those guidelines are for the credit bureau. So Experian, TransUnion, Equifax, CoreLogic, any company that represents itself as a credit agency has to deal with the FCRA regulations. But if you dispute straight to the creditor, don't get me wrong, there's regulations, but the FCRA is not really as strong. So what you want to do is dispute with the credit bureaus first, so the FCRA forces them to investigate your dispute letter, because the FCRA demands that credit agencies investigate your dispute as thorough as possible, which will lead to them investigating the bank to see if they were compliant with FCRA. And if they weren't, then whatever account you're disputing has to get removed or adjusted. So that's why we dispute with the credit bureau first and then go for the actual creditor or furnisher information, because the FCRA has more regulations for the credit bureaus. If you want more info on that, comment easy FCRA down below and I'll send you a full video breaking down that topic. Let's move on. So just to recap, we went over how to find violations on your credit report, right? We went over why those violations can be used as evidence to reverse a late payment, right? We went over how to craft your dispute letter and how to use AI to make your dispute letter even stronger. Now we're moving into sending your dispute letter to the credit bureau. I'm gonna give you the best 3 ways to send your dispute to the credit bureau. And before you ask, it's not by going on their website and making a dispute on the website. I don't recommend that to none of my Easy Society members because the more accounts they have furnished is the more money the banks have to pay them. So every time they lose an account, it's kind of like they lost money. So they don't really want your dispute to go through. So why would you put that in their hands? There's other ways to send your dispute letter where it's verified and trackable. That way you basically checkmate the credit bureau and they can't say, oh, I never got the dispute, blah, blah, blah. When you dispute on their website, they can easily delete your dispute and act like you never put it through. So play smarter, not harder. Let me show you the best methods to send your dispute. So number 1, we have the certified mail method. And number 2, we have the CFPB. So quick question before I guide y'all through these methods. Let me know what you think. Do you think the certified mail method holds more weight than the CFPB method? Let me know in the comments. I just want to see what y'all know already. I'm going to break down the certified mail method first, and then I'm going to show you how to do the CFPB method. Like I said in the start of the video, we're leaving no stone unturned. I'm showing y'all A to Z on how to dispute a late payment correctly so you can actually get faster results. The next video I put out is probably going to be a full guide on how to delete charge-offs. So if you're not following me now, you're playing yourself.